Hello, everyone. Welcome to On the Move, a show where we share transportation, sales, and marketing success stories. I'm Jennifer Carpus Remain, Executive Director at the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association, which is a trade nonprofit educating and connecting marketing and sales professionals inside transportation and logistics. And today on the show, I'm super excited to have Whitney Cowell, who is Director of Client Strategy at Virago Marketing. She's also a board member here at TMSA. Welcome to the show, Whitney. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you and to talk about kind of your journey in the industry. You've kind of gone from one side of like working at a transportation company, now working at a marketing agency, but getting all that really great experience. And so I would love for you to tell the audience just a little bit more about your journey and where you are today.
Yeah, so I've been in the supply chain since 2016. I started off on the carrier side, selling fuel cards, onboarding people to a platform. And that evolved into the media side of things. So I worked a little bit in freight tech and then was quickly transferred over to event marketing. And that was incredibly fun. It was busy while also still juggling the SaaS piece. A little bit of product, a little bit of event at the same time. It was chaotic. It was incredibly fun though. And from there, I went to the logistics end of the supply chain. I think everybody should do that. If you haven't had that experience, I think it'll really round you out as a marketer and as a professional. And now I'm on the agency end, back working with freight tech and logistics companies. So the second I onboard a carrier, I feel like I would have come full circle.
Fantastic. And now you are at Virago Marketing, which is one of our TMSA partner member companies. But you mentioned they're really into that freight tech space. But tell us a little bit about Virago Marketing and what you do there now.
Yeah, so Virago Marketing, founded and owned right now. Jenny Malafrena is our CEO. She's amazing. Our core base of people that we work with are freight tech companies and logistics companies. After working in that space, it made a lot of sense for us to really focus on that audience type as well. But we do a lot of really fun and wonderful things. We specialize in a strategic approach and the content to back that up. And yeah, there's a couple of us. Every person at the company has industry experience. So we all come from the industry. Our chief content officer was at CCJ for 21 years, 20 plus years. And Jenny also comes from the industry. So it's been a very rewarding experience. Totally different on the agency side. I will say, I don't know that I was quite prepared for what that was going to look like, but I've loved it so far.
I worked in an agency for about a year of my life, and it's definitely a different experience to be pulled in a lot of different directions with different clients, but making sure they all feel like they're your top priority and really focusing in on what they can do. But I like to work in fast-paced places, which is why TMSA works so well for me, because there's always like a million things going on. But I really love that feel of like you're never bored. You always have something going on. There's always something to do. There's always something to learn. So it is a different feel for sure, but
it is. And I missed working with clients. That's something like working with customers instead of, there's something to be said about being an in-house marketer. I think doing both has given me a really good perspective of what it is to be a marketer in any situation. But I really like working with clients every day. I missed that.
I love that for you. And it's a good fit for you, I think, too. Like you're a really good listener and absorbing of like what people are saying and what they need. So I think that's great. Yes, my career has been, I say, in every like wrap around the written word, from like journalism to marketing to working at like PR Newswire processing press releases to then going to the agency life to then working as director of marketing at a tech firm that specialized in transportation, and now like leading this association that then handles all kinds of people's sales and marketing needs and helping them to learn and grow. So I love the written word. I love helping people. And so, yeah, I think that's great. One of the things that Virago is really tied into outside of just like helping clients in the day to day is freight movement and
Yes.
its commitment to bringing people in the industry together.
Mhm.
Would love to hear more about that journey and what that means. I know they announced like big news the other week at Manifest, which is awesome. And then you've also been doing kind of as a part of that your own local coffee networking
Yep.
events. So let's talk about freight movement and then also your perspective on why kind of bringing these different types of engagements to our local communities can really foster stronger connections and build more impactful relationships in our industry.
Yeah. I love freight movement. I'm having so much fun with it. Um, it was founded Jenny Malafarina with Virago and then Nate Johnson at GLCS. And then I feel like Robert Bain and I are like the sidekicks in the whole initiative. But the goal was to create these local events for people to attend that maybe can't go to the large ones. And so I know some people thought at first, like, oh, so you're going to do like an event that people can go there instead of this. And the answer is no, absolutely not. We do something either the evening of when nothing else is happening, or we do something at the beginning. So as people are kind of filtering in town. And the reason is our events are free. They're free to attend, which means you might not be able to afford the really expensive ticket to the really big event, but you can still have all the perks of networking with those people, of shaking hands, of sitting down, of having real conversations, or not. You know, we had karaoke here in Chattanooga, so not as much talking at that one. It was incredibly fun, and it's just more accessible. And I think a really big piece of what we're doing is bringing people together in the sense that it's come one, come all. It doesn't matter if you're a truck driver, if you're you know, a product manager, if you're in IT, you're welcome. If you're in the supply chain, we would love to say hello. And I think that that's kind of what makes us stand out, because at industry events, there's typically a very certain type of title that's going to show up. And it's somebody in marketing, somebody in sales, somebody in senior leadership. Um, every once in a while, somebody in operations, depending on your company structure. And this is different. So that's the foundation and why it started. And as far as what I'm doing, so I don't drink. I don't mind happy hours, but my thought was, you know, there are some people that also don't want to go to a happy hour, that maybe want to go home and go to their family at the end of the workday. They don't want to do something like that. Maybe they can't do something like that. Maybe their kids are in sports. So why don't you just come have lunch with me? I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Let's sit down and have a conversation. And those are a lot smaller. There's usually anywhere from like 4 to 8 of us that sit at a table and talk. Um, and I've really enjoyed that. I've gotten to do a lot in the Southeast and one in New Jersey. So
Yes.
but it's been really fun to meet people that have been in my network for a while that I've never met in person, and also to have them invite other people and to add somebody new to my network. And we'll have, you know, competitors sitting at the same table having really just candid conversations about what they see that's happening in the industry, vacations that they like to go on, and everything in between.
I love both aspects. So TMSA is a supporter of freight movement.
Mhm.
Here at TMSA, I've wanted to do more local events, and we do a couple here and there, but like we just don't have the HQ power to do
Right.
like a whole bunch of them. So I love being able to kind of partner with freight movement and push that forward too. Um, and I love the concept, like you talked about earlier, like, oh, every marketing person should work at, you know, an actual logistics company or transportation company at some point so that you get that experience. One of the things I love about the titles being come one come all is that you get to talk to, so I talk to a lot of sales and marketing people, a lot of senior leadership all the time. I don't get to talk to operators all the time, or truck drivers, or people. That's one of the reasons why I love going to women in trucking too, because it's more of a mix of titles, you know. And so you get to hear more about different experiences than what's in your pocket of the industry or the conversation. So I love the local networking and people in this space that might not be the same title or the main, but you get to hear about what they're doing, what's affecting them, which I think as a sales or marketing person is always valuable to hear. Like
Mhm.
we should absolutely kind of know what's going on in all pockets of our companies or in the industry and getting that exposure.
Yep.
So love it. We even, so Jenny Malafrino and me live about a half hour apart here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. So we do quarterly coffee chats now too. And we have one coming up in March, which I'm excited about. We had one in December. It seems like it was yesterday, but also now I'm saying that it was like 2 months ago. So but I love it, and bringing people into your network, getting to meet other people that you didn't know were local. And I think it's great. I do think that it can be isolating
Yeah.
thinking that you just live by yourself or you're just doing this thing here and then you go to industry events and you get to connect with people, but like, oh, there are a lot of people typically in your area that you might have never known about. So I
Yeah.
think it's great.
And that's one of the announcements we had at Manifest is that we're going on tour. We've actually partnered with a lot of really great organizations in the industry within the first year. Like it's really taken off. And so we're going to be at a lot of the really big events this year. And then, we've also partnered with Broker Carrier Summit. So we'll be doing 12 events throughout the year. And I'll be at some, Jenny will be at some, Aaron will be at some on the Virago end and on the GLCS end. Nate will be at some. And I think the next one that's coming up is TIA. So Bane and I will be there. Join us. Say hello.
I will be there too.
Join us. Say hello.
Yes, I do. I missed the one at Manifest because I had double events that week. So I didn't, and my flight, I was going to see if I could like sneak into the end of the one at Manifest, but my flight was definitely delayed and I didn't get in until like 11 p.m. and I was very tired, but I made it through the rest of the conference, but that's neither here nor there. But I love that. I also want to go back. You said that you had a karaoke event. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I did not sing. I don't karaoke. I do stand in the front row and will dance my face off and sing along with you. However, this year, so I did not go to Manifest. I will be there, I think, next year because I'll be at TIA this year. So it'll be my first time at that event. But I definitely agreed with two other women to be the pre-halftime show. So yeah, so I definitely sang and danced a whole routine. And I think that's probably the last time I'll ever do something like that.
Well, I know I told you this, but you missed it because you couldn't come to Elevate last year. But I opened TMSA Elevate with singing.
Yep.
Which I will publicly state that I will karaoke. I do that. I will never. I mean, I guess you can't say never, but like I have no intention because people are like, "What are you doing this year?" I'm like, "Not that. That was for 100 years, and I did something special." But that the pressure to do that is substantial, and I should not have put that on myself. But it was everything I wanted it to be, so I'm okay with it. But I love karaoke. My best friend also is not a singer, and at my bachelorette party, we did karaoke, and I sang Bohemian Rhapsody, and she danced it next to me, and it was one of my favorite moments of the whole thing.
And I would be the one doing the interpretive dance. That's comfort zone.
So it was great, but that was all good. So we just touched a little bit on TMSA Elevate, but so you are a board member here at TMSA, and you actually do a lot of different things here. But one of the bigger things that you've been doing over the past few years is serving on the education committee. Mm-hmm. And what do you think attendees can expect from Elevate this year?
I'm excited about Elevate this year. I'm excited about Elevate and the Executive Summit every year. So I'm incredibly biased. You give me an event, I'm stoked about it. But I think this year is going to be more focused on the sales end, which I think is incredibly exciting. It's something that as a board, we've identified as a committee, we've really been intentional about as we're putting together the agenda. And then there's going to be a few more panels this year than there were in the past. And I also think that's incredibly exciting because you get to hear different perspectives of people. I know we typically do like a shippers panel at least one event each year. I'm excited to bring in other types of panels that are relevant to both sales and marketing. And of course, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The extracurriculars also are very fun. And then, per usual, as of the last 3 years, there's going to be a give back to kick off the whole event. So you can come in, network, give back to the community that's hosting us. And then, the awards are always incredibly fun. And then the content this year, I think, is going to be a little elevated as it had. And I think it's evolved over the years. But this year in particular, after looking at the agenda, which hasn't quite been announced yet, really excited about the speakers we have joining us.
Absolutely. So we have that shippers panel. We also have an economy panel, which is coming back, something that we did last year, and it was really, really popular. Yeah. And I love it because it is not just one economy viewpoint, but three. And so you get to hear all three and then have a Q&A at the end. We are finalizing our breakouts. We just had our education committee meeting. We're recording this on February 21st. We had it yesterday, and so we'll be able to publicly announce some of the breakouts soon. Our keynote speaker's name is Kate DeLeo, and she's talking about not just storytelling, but story selling. Because if you're not, you could tell the best story ever, but if it's not to the right person at the right time in the right space, it's not going to take you very far. And so really, really excited about that. And you mentioned him earlier, but this is not public news, but I will have it by the time this goes live. But Robert Bain will be taking the stage at TMSA. And we're talking about, because we talk a lot about personal brand in the industry. We have a lot of these like freight influencers, but how does that translate to actual business? So our strongest man in logistics will be taking the stage in a 15-minute power session talking about how that has actually leveraged business for him. And I'm super pumped. I just need his headshot and bio. And so I will text him again. I mean, I just texted him yesterday, like, you're in, give me your headshot and bio. But I'm really excited about that. That 15-minute session is something we started at last year's Elevate. We had a lot more last year because we also had some people telling like their stories to TMSA because it was our 100 year. This year, we'll just have a couple, but really hone in on great stories and how to really tactfully take something and pull it out. It's something that we're passionate at TMSA is to have a mix. Like you said, a lot more panels, a lot different perspectives. We still have the breakout sessions to do heavier dives. We have these 15 minutes to just kind of break up that like, oh, we have a lot of longer stage time. And then our closing panel this year is actually going to feature South by Southwest, which I'm so excited about. The moment that we knew that we were coming to Austin, I started like emailing everyone I could to try to get them. So we actually have their like just recently retired chief brand officer, their VP of event operations, and their logistics partners coming about and talking about the magic behind South by Southwest in both like a sales, marketing, and logistics viewpoint. So I'm so excited getting to meet with them and stuff. You were on that planning call.
I cannot wait. That was such a good call. I was giddy by the end of that call of what that's going to mean for the summit.
Yeah, I was really excited, and it did take me like 6 months to firm that up, but it was because we really sat, and South by Southwest was great and being like, okay, let's really think about what you guys want out of this panel and like let's find the right people, which I also was really excited about because you don't want it just to be like, oh,
here's a person representing the
company. Yeah, let's use the name. Like, no, we actually want it to be really valuable for our members and our attendees. So, and then you did mention the Community Giveback. And so that is a passion project for you that you launched and started. So if you want to talk about that a little bit more and let people know what the Giveback is this year and how they could potentially get involved.
Yeah, so the Give Back this year is with Latinitas. It's an organization that works with girls in the middle school age range that are interested in STEM. And I just thought that was so appropriate to foster the leaders of the future. I mean, in especially in the industry that we're in, like technology is such a really big piece of that. And the way that our industry is evolving, it just felt like such a natural fit. And then, of course, as like a woman who's in the supply chain, I hear, an organization that's focused on young girls, and my heart just soars.
Mhm.
But this year for the give back, what we'll be doing is, of course, like partial networking. And sorry, my dog in the background, but it's a networking opportunity where as we're getting to know one another, we are also doing something for the community. This year, what we'll be doing is packaging kits for the summer camp that Latinitas has. I think it's a 6-week camp, and each week has a different theme and a different focus. And so we'll be packaging kits for the activities for one of those weeks. And of course, some of the people from Latinitas will join us. They'll introduce themselves, tell us a little bit more about the organization. But we have a page available to go ahead and start learning now. And if people would like to give back, but they're not able to make it, or they want to give back plus, they do have an Amazon wish list to buy the supplies that will be in the kits. So you could give back today if you wanted to, and start supporting that organization. But yeah, it's near and dear to my heart. We didn't have a give back with TMSA, and I said I think this could be a value point and another way to network, and we could just kind of smash them together. And I was really surprised when the board said, yeah, let's do it, make it happen.
Mhm. Yep, that's pretty much how it went, and it's such a great networking in an engagement factor, not just like, oh, like let's network again, but like let's do something positive together.
Right.
And I know I talk with my hands a lot. I sometimes when you're first meeting people, I don't know what to do. And so it's nice to like the past 2 years we made tie blankets. And so it's really nice to like have that activity to do to like calm your nerves a bit when you're, meeting people, trying to talk with people, you're
Right.
doing an activity together. And one of the things I'm really excited about too is they said that one of the things that we could do for the girls is like write like positive affirmations for them and like encouraging words. I'm super pumped about that. I have in my like past couple of years, I didn't have the opportunity this year, but like I've done like women in STEM mentorship programs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And this is so much younger than the space that I'm used to working in. But I do think that really focusing in on STEM at a younger age is important. And so I love that we're doing that and that we get to support it. So really pumped about that too.
Me too. And I'm excited because it's a different type of organization everywhere that we go.
Mhm.
And that I think has been the fun part for me, and the way that I'm able to give back to TMSA, the way that I'm able to help us, just say thank you to the community that's hosting us. So, I am already looking forward to what we're going to do next year, just because I know it's going to be different than what we've done this year. And
Mhm.
so as soon as that location is finalized, you better believe I'm already on Google looking for different organizations, different spaces that may need help.
Love that. And a different passion project that you have going on right now is outside of TMSA, but something that you've launched yourself in your own podcast. And so tell us about it.
Yeah. So in December, I launched my own little brand. It's called Sober Soul. Right now, it's just kind of a floating out there brand. But, my goal was to create a safe space for people who are just navigating the world, navigating their career, their profession sober. It's a little bit more of a taboo subject. And I think people are more inclined to talk about like, oh, sobriety and recovery and healing. And it's like, well, let's also talk about, the reason we're there is because of addiction. And that's the part where people get a little squirmy. And that's okay. But for those of us that need the resources and feel very alone, it's really nice to know that there's a community out there. And so it's something that had been on my heart for quite some time. And I just didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what that was going to look like. It's like the seed was planted, but I had no idea what the flower was going to look like. And so I gave it the time and space that I felt like it deserved. And when it was time, it was time. And I went ahead and launched it. There is a service that I offer through that that I feel like I just don't talk about very much. Maybe I should, but anybody that's trying to apply for a job, maybe get their life back on track, and specifically if they have like gaps in their resume from when they've taken time to focus on their life and to get the help and the healing that they needed, that can be really awkward and a really uncomfortable conversation to have. And so the service that I offer is the resume writing. Let's sit down and talk about what you really bring to the table, because I bet it's amazing. And let's also have a conversation maybe before you have that interview of, how do you approach that topic? What if they say, why is there a gap on your resume? Which most people don't care, but it makes us feel really safe to have an answer to that question anyways. And so far it's been a very slow takeoff, but there was one person who reached out. We did a resume together and she got a job.
I love that.
That was really rewarding. And then I rebranded my podcast. I realized we really weren't talking about marketing very much, even though it was called The Mediocre Marketer. And so I rebranded that to Dry Conversations, and it's felt very natural and very organic. And I've already got a list of like 9 people that I'm going to be recording with over the next 3 weeks. So we'll have plenty of episodes to come.
Wonderful. Love to hear everything that you have going on at Virago, at Freight Movement, at TMSA, and beyond. So all of the things, so excited to catch up with you. One last question for you before I let you dip out. It's a question I ask everyone. If you could go back in time and advise a younger Whitney anything, personally or professionally, when would you go back to and what would you say?
I think I would go back to probably like 22 or 23. That was really like at the height of feeling very alone in the world and very like not normal as a person with absolutely no answers. And I think that I would tell her that no matter what you feel like makes you unique in the worst ways that nobody will ever understand, there is a tribe of people who have lived that and are ready to not only tell the tale, but hold your hand through it. I've experienced a lot of things that I thought would for sure break me as a person, and they didn't. And I think the only reason they didn't is because when somebody told me like, you have to ask for help, I listened and I did. And I think that that's a really courageous thing to do. And I think it's one of the things that's got me this far. I mean, gosh, even getting laid off of a job and just reaching out to my network for help and landing at Virago and having this career that is beyond my wildest dreams. It doesn't have to be just about my addiction. There are lots of things that I feel like we face as people, and reaching out, and it wouldn't be just asking for help. It's knowing somebody will show up when you do that. That's a big deal. That was a really big deal for me. So I wish I had maybe known that a little bit earlier.
I think that's great advice for anyone. And especially that, like, you can't ask for help and it's okay. Like, we don't have to face everything by ourselves. So I think that's great. Well, thank you so much for all that you're doing in the industry here at TMSA and for coming on the show today. It was great to have you, and I'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.